whom the principal scolding. So again you can see that in this sentence the connector whom is referring to person. The person is in main clause, and whom the principal was scolding is a subordinate clause. Now you need to observe each and every sentence. Like if you just speak main clause, it has its meaning, as I said in the definition already. But if you speak the subordinate clause all alone, it will not have its own individual meaning. So in order to make the subordinate clause meaningful, we need to speak the main clause also. If you speak only main clause, it will have its meaning without subordinate clause. But without main clause, subordinate clause, like in this sentence, whom the principal was scolding, the sentence will not have its full meaning. You need something to add, and that something is I know the person. So like this, in each and every complex sentence, there will be one subordinate clause and one main clause. In the second or in the next slide, as you can see, there is connector whose. We also know that there are three inflections, as I said. Subjective inflection, that is who; objective inflection, that is whom; and now comes possessive inflection, whose. Like clause number 1, Rabindranath Tagore was a great poet. In that sentence, Rabindranath Tagore is a subject, was a great poet is a predicate. His Gitanjali was awarded the Nobel Prize. So in this clause number 2, his is a possessive pronoun. So the complex sentence becomes like Rabindranath Tagore was a great poet whose Gitanjali was awarded the Nobel Prize. So now you can see easily that from clause number 2, his has disappeared. The word his, that is actually possessive pronoun, it has disappeared. Instead of that, we have now used the connector whose, and using the connector whose, we could connect the two clauses, that one is main clause and the other is subordinate clause. Now let us move on with the next slide. Again the example of whose. Clause number 1 is Mr. Anand is my friend. Mr. Anand is a subject, is my friend becomes a predicate. Clause number 2, his photographs are nominated for the national award. So his photographs, this particular part of the sentence becomes a subject, and are nominated for the national award becomes a predicate. Two simple sentences. Now we join them using whose. Mr. Anand, whose photographs are nominated for the national award, is my friend. Again this entire clause, subordinate clause, whose photographs are nominated for the national award, this entire part becomes the clause, and entire clause adds something in the meaning of noun. The main noun, or the main, you can see the proper noun is Mr. Anand. So here the Mr. Anand noun is modified, is added in something more in its meaning. And what adds in its meaning? Entire clause. And entire clause is whose photographs are nominated in national awards. Entire clause adds something in the meaning of a noun, therefore it becomes adjective clause. So here also you can see the use of whose, and it clearly mentions that how it is used for the noun. Next connector that comes, that is which. It refers to object, bird, animal or insect, noun or pronoun. Here it will refer the word Gitanjali. In clause number 1, as you can see, Rabindranath Tagore wrote Gitanjali. I have put deliberately and intentionally the word Gitanjali in bold fonts so that you can identify that the connector as well as the pronoun that is given in the clause number 2 will refer to the proper noun, that is the Gitanjali. In clause number 2, the sentence is, it is a collection of poems. So in this sentence, the word it, basically it is a pronoun that is used for neutral gender, or it is used for the inanimate things. And it is also a subject of the sentence, and is a collection of poems is a predicate. It is a simple sentence. The complex sentence becomes like this: Rabindranath Tagore wrote the Gitanjali, which is a collection of poems. So here clearly the word which refers to the proper noun, that is Gitanjali. As I was telling you earlier, that each and every connector, each and every word, what, which, where, so, each and every connector refers to something in the sentence. So in this sentence, the word which or the connector which refers to the proper noun Gitanjali that was written by Rabindranath Tagore. Let us move on with the next slide that also talks about the connector which. Let us see clause number 1. Clause number 1 is the students are working on a project. A project, as you can see, it is in bold fonts. It is going to help them a lot. It, as you can see, again it is in bold fonts. In this case, complex sentence can be made in two ways. Firstly, the students are working on a project. This is a main clause that comes before the connector which, and the subordinate clause is which is going to help them a lot. That is a subordinate clause. You can see clearly as that the word which or a connector which refers to a noun. That noun rests in the main clause, that is a project. You can also make this sentence in a second way, like a project which the students are working on is going to help them a lot. So you can also see that you can make complex sentence in these two particular ways. Let us move on with the next slide that talks about the connector where. Where is a connector that refers to the noun or a name of a place. As in this sentence, clause number 1 is, this is Shanti Niketan Ashram. The characteristic of this connector is, or the characteristic of this, the process of synthesis is that the main clause will always end with the name of a place. Like this in the clause number 1, the sentence is, this is Shanti Niketan. So Shanti Niketan is actually a name of a place. In clause number 2, Gandhiji had come to meet Gurudev here. So in clause number 2, the word here refers again to the name of a place, but it is not clear-cut mentioned that where. Here is actually a pronoun, that is indefinite pronoun. When you say here, when you say there, so you do not mention the proper noun of a place. But when you make a sentence as given below, this is Shanti Niketan Ashram where Gandhiji had come to meet Gurudev. So in the complex sentence, the connector where refers to the name or a noun of a place that is there in the main clause, and it is Shanti Niketan Ashram. Let us move on with the next slide that also talks about the connector where. As I said earlier that in the main clause will always end with the name of a place. Here also the sentence is, this is the hospital. Hospital is a name of a place. The second sentence is, my father is working as a doctor here. So again in clause number 2, the word here is a pronoun. It is an indefinite pronoun that refers to the name of a place, but it is not mentioned where. When you connect the sentence using a connector where, this is the hospital, it means this is that particular hospital where my father is working as a doctor. So you can see that from the clause number 2, the word here again disappears and the pronoun, or you can say the connector where, takes its place. So like this, in this slide we saw that the connector where refers to the name of a place. Next is when. Generally the complex sentences which are made using the connector when are called adverb clause of time, because it refers to the time. There are two clauses. Clause number 1 that ends with the time word, as we saw in the previous slide that the clause number 1 will end with the name of the place, and in this slide it will end with the name of or with the word of showing time. Like the sentence is, it was 1941. So 1941 is actually talking about a particular year, time period. Clause number 2 is Gurudev passed away. So there is a sentence. Complex sentence becomes like, it was 1941 when Gurudev passed away. So again, the subordinate clause that has the connector when, it refers to a particular year, and here in this sentence the year is 1941. The same example or the same connector, as we can see, autumn is the season. First, clause number 1, autumn is a season that ends with a name of a time. Season is something that refers to some particular time of a season. Clause number 2 is all the trees shed their leaves in it. So again, in the clause number 2, all the trees shed their leaves in it. Interestingly, in the previous slide, clause number 2 was not referring to any particular word that can tell us something about a time. But in clause number 2 of the second example, you can see that all the trees shed their leaves in it. So here in this sentence we have one more additional word, that is in it. As you can see in the complex sentence, that in it will disappear. Autumn is the season when all the trees shed their leaves. So now we cannot put the word in it in the complex sentence, because already we have already used the word when, we have already used the connector when that actually refers to the time. So like this, the connector when will refer to something that is talking about the time. In the next slide we can see the connector why. It will show us the reason. Clause number 1, and again in earlier cases clause number 1 will end with the reason word that will show us the reason. Nobody knows the reason. Clause number 2 is he left the job. The complex sentence will become nobody knows the reason why he left the job. So in this sentence you can see that the word why refers to the reason. That entire clause why he left the job becomes adjective clause. Entire clause adds something in the meaning of noun. The noun is reason. But as you can see in the next slide, it is adverb clause of reason. It was adjective clause, here is adverb clause. The reason is that in the main clause there is no word that shows us the one word. In the previous slide there was a word reason, but in this slide you cannot see any word. Like in the main clause there is only one sentence, I don't know. After that there is no word, unlike the earlier slide. In the previous slide there was a word reason. Look at the clause number 1. Here is nobody knows the reason. I have put the reason in the bold fonts, but here in this sentence there is no word. Clause number 2 is she is absent today. Complex sentence becomes like I don't know why she is absent today. It means that I don't know, it is entire clause, and why she is absent today, it is a subordinate clause. There is no word, therefore it becomes adverb clause of reason. It was my presentation. I am very happy today that I got this opportunity from Gujarat Technological University. I am also thankful to my college, my managing trustees, all my colleagues, my friends, my parents, and all those helped me, especially Mr. Wasim Qureshi, who really helped me to prepare this few slides. And I am also thankful to Elvocom and Biseg, who provided me the platform, and because of them I could be reachable to all of you. Again, I thank to all my students and listeners and viewers who kept patience, and they listened me and they watched me, and I hope that this entire presentation will help all my students and the advanced learner and all the English learner people. Thanks a lot. Thank you so much.